Many events happening in our world are not always revealed to the general public. Some of these events and their baffling phenomena are sometimes spotted by unsuspecting humans, who are always left unfounded upon discovery. These findings are often hard to discuss because they occur in remote areas like woodlands, with no concrete evidence. A similar case occurred to a park ranger going about his duties when he saw the military collecting something from the area around Mount St. Helens' heavy eruption. What could this object have been? Could it be a message or a rare object from another world? Join us as we explore how a park ranger said that after the Mount St. Helens eruption, something was collected by the military. Park rangers can often be regarded as gatekeepers of our natural treasures. Also known as conservation scientists, they are environmental specialists who work with landowners to observe and maintain an untouched natural landscape. These rangers also work in national parks, where they help visitors and tourists to navigate their way around. In these regions, unidentified creatures have been seen lurking, most of them detected by rangers or tourists visiting the area. However, these sightings are not always believed. Although there is little proof of photographs showing these creatures moving around, there is always the fear of being attacked by the unknown creature or spooking the animals into disappearing. In addition, the photos that are often taken from a distance leave the image blurry. As a result, some of these sightings are kept a secret because people don't always believe the poorly lit images. This made reports of incidents like this not being discussed until a retired park ranger came out to speak about one of his encounters while he was still in service. His encounter happened while working at a national park around Mount St. Helens. He was going about his daily activities at work when he overheard a colleague saying that the military was in the environment. Puzzled at the news and unsure of what the military could be doing at the national park, the retired ranger moved over to join the conversation to get more details. Later, he found out that the military was present at the locations at the time to capture a weird-looking animal living around Mount St. Helens in Washington. Mount St. Helens has become home to several bizarre reports of sightings since the 1920s. Getting this information about the military looking to collect something around the region is not exactly new. In fact, a battle was even fought with some weird creatures in 1924. Who knows if these creatures are the ones the military came to see? The prologue to this account of events all began with a battle that supposedly took place in a narrow ravine located at the east flank of Mount St. Helens. That ravine is now known as Ape Canyon. In the summer of 1924, this area was where a team of gold miners ran out from and, in trembling voices, told the story of how 7-foot-tall ape-like animals attacked them with boulders. Gabler Fever, John Patterson, Fred Beck, Marion Smith, and even Smith's boy recalled the incident as encountering gorilla men near where they had constructed a small cabin for their gold hunting expeditions. They included that they were 8 miles from Spirit Lake when they came across 4 of these giant animals walking through the forest with erect, human-like strides. This encounter went widespread to the point that the media and newspapers at the time also spread the news. One such newspaper organization reported the information, saying that they were covered with long, black hair based on the descriptions given by the men. Since the gold miner encountered them personally, they gave further descriptions of the creatures, saying that they had ears about 4 inches long and they stuck straight up. They also have 4 toes, which are short and stubby. Judging from what they saw and the danger the creatures posed, the witnesses estimated that each animal weighed about 400 pounds. Surprised at the sight of such giant beasts, one of the explorers fired his rifle 3 times at one of the animals, hitting it and making it topple off a cliff. Then, while they were getting ready to sleep for the night, the men were startled as huge stones started pouring down outside their cabin. When they heard and felt massive bodies slamming against the walls and doors, they all knew who the attackers were. It was the ape men, seeking revenge for their wounded. As the boulders kept clomping down against the outside of their cabin, the beasts eventually made a hole in the roof, providing more room to target the gold miners. With a hole in the roof, more rocks kept smashing through the hole, and in the process, 2 of those rocks hit Fred Beck. The first impact was painful enough until the second one hit him, rendering him unconscious for almost 2 hours. Fortunately for the gold hunters, the sun began rising, alerting the animals to stop their attacks and retreat into the woods. After silence ruled the area for a while, they poked their heads out the door to check if it was safe to leave and not an ambush. After confirming that the coast was clear, they bolted out of the woods. Before the incident happened, there had been news and tales of giant ape men seen in that area. Also, loggers and hunters have reported sightings of huge footprints in that area consistently, and Native Americans living in the area have always mentioned mountain devils. However, most people thought it was just a face at the time, with only a few people just thinking about the possibility of huge unknown creatures living in the forest. Years later, in 1980, Mount St. Helens rocked the entire state of Washington and its environs with an immense volcanic eruption. The active but slumbering volcano at the time roared into life, blasting half of the mountain away and throwing ash over an 11-state area. It was one of the largest volcanic events, as the eruption spread 540 million tons of ash over an area of more than 22,000 square miles. After this eruption triggered a massive change in the area, another set of weird sightings was seen after the Mount St. Helens eruption. The first report came on the heels of the 1980 eruption in May of that same year. The report was made on the sighting of an odd flying creature. The said creature was a purplish-coloured humanoid creature with bat-like wings, glowing red eyes, and a scary bat-like face. The most remarkable and well-known sighting occurred in April 1994, when a teenager named Brian Canfield was driving his pickup truck on a remote stretch of road. He was on his way to Camp Muir on Mount Rainier area. It was during the night as he drove, only for his car to suddenly stop functioning. As he tried to figure out what possibly went wrong with his car, Brian saw an eerie figure slowly walking into a patch of lights created by his headlights. Brian recalled that the figure came down from above, looking like it was coming in for a landing. The figure was huge, as Brian estimated his height at about 9 feet. It had clawed feet, and the figure was covered in bluish fur. Brian also recalled that the creature had sharp teeth and glowing eyes. And no, we're not talking about Bigfoot. For some minutes, Brian and the bat squash stared at each other quietly. The boy noted he felt out of place, more than in fear, as if the whole occurrence was happening to somebody else. Ultimately, the bat squash twitched, and he saw huge wings emerge from its back. Canfield noted that the wings were the width of the whole road. With a whoosh, the strange figure flew into the night, leaving a terrified Brian. Shortly after the creature flew away, the truck began working again, and Brian continued his journey to his original destination. This account was reported in local and even national media, and Brian Canfield was the first to have his name connected to bat squash sighting. As a matter of fact, the coining of the bat squash name was inspired by his sighting. Canfield's friends and family also noted that he was a regular and well-doing young man with no bad habits or behaviours. Of course, many had a field day with his report, and he was accused of being drunk or a drug addict. However, investigations showed neither of those traits. 1994 was the year of Butch Whitaker. A mountain guide and liquor store owner reported another sighting with a bat squatch. Whitaker reported having been flying a small plane to Mount Rainier when he noticed the devilish humanoid flying alongside the plane. Whitaker says he was able to take photographs of the winged beast, but as is typical in paranormal stories, the photos remain unseen. However, a lot of people take Whitaker's claims with an extra large grain of salt. Since Whitaker made these sightings in 1994, reports from Washington state are still being made, but they either sound unusual or often hazy. In addition, there have been multiple obvious hoaxes in connection with bat squatch, most coming from folks making jokes about such a bizarre creature. But beneath the hoaxes and unconfirmed reports, there is still enough of a genuine mystery to arouse interest. On the opposite side of the world from Mount St. Helens, another region is haunted by winged humanoids. This is an Indonesian island named Seram, and the flying monsters are known as orang bati. They are reportedly scrawny humanoids with bat-like wings and features, and similarities between the orang bati and bat squash are easy to notice. But the stories about the orang bati sound like a blend of pure folklore, which seems like reports of actual flying cryptids and overhyped information about a fierce but human tribe. A National Geographic expedition once went on a quest to find the orang bati, but eventually had to conclude that the creature was a flying fox bat. The flying fox is the largest species of bat known, and seeing one of these winged beasts at night could easily scare someone into believing there was something larger and more monstrous. That leads to the question, is bat squatch a flying fox? It would seem very unlikely, but not impossible. The flying foxes are inhabitants of the tropics and wouldn't weather an icy cold winter in the Pacific Northwest, unless perhaps they discovered some sort of shelter, like a warm cave. And the few bat squash witnesses might be prone to fear-induced exaggeration, but describing a 3-foot-high bat as a 9-foot-tall humanoid is a huge margin. Giant bat cryptids, such as the owl, have been reported elsewhere. Still, again, it would be a rather large leap for such a creature to either migrate to the Pacific Northwest or for a separate isolated colony to live. A more obscure theory about the whole phenomenon suggests that the huge Mount St. Helens explosion may have caused a temporary rip to another dimension or time and allowed a bat squatch to come through. It is the opinion of the good doctor that if the bat squatch does exist, and that's a mighty big if, then it is a strange visitor in our world. Nothing in terrestrial biology postulates that a bat-ape hybrid could be native to Earth. Or could it have been a flying monkey that escaped from Oz? We can't say for sure, but let us know your thoughts in the comments below.